Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to another episode of Clean Slate, a show here on the Rebel Sports Net where we be discussing the weekly slate of NFL games. I'm your host, Gabe Goddard. This week I'm joined by Marcus Miles and Ansley Pavicic. Guys, what a action-packed slate in Week 9 of the NFL. The Colts, the big dogs of the NFL, went up to Pittsburgh and they fell to my Steelers 27-20. It looks like the Steelers finally figured out what most teams weren't able to do, and that's how to contain Jonathan Taylor, who only had 45 yards on the ground. What do you guys think about that game?
It spells trouble for the Colts. When you see the first game that Jonathan Taylor is finally shut down, your offense has 6 turnovers, that's an area for concern. I feel like they need to clean up the turnovers, absolutely. 6 turnovers is unacceptable. To come in the league as number 1 in all categories, basically, offensively, and then to have this performance. First of all, shout out to the Pittsburgh Steelers because that was one crazy performance, one hell of a performance. And they absolutely showed out. They put pressure on Daniel Jones, and we've seen him that clock slowly begin to wind down, and those turnovers just flowed in, and he has to clean that up. He can't be flustered at the first sight of pressure.
Yeah.
Exactly. I got to give credit to the Steelers defense too. It seems like whatever game plan they had going into this matchup, they did it well and they did it perfectly, as you mentioned, containing probably Jonathan Taylor, who's right now has been one of the best running backs in the NFL. Daniel Jones, I mean, you said it well, 6 turnovers, and I think if you want to contain this Colts offense like the Steelers did, they got a crazy matchup against the Chiefs. After the Chiefs get out of their bye week. I know we're kind of fast forwarding, but man, if you're the Chiefs looking at that game, that's how you need to perform if you want to come out with a win against the number 1 seed in the AFC.
And it's like you said, this does spell trouble for the Colts because I saw kind of on film a little bit, the Steelers, they go wide angles off the defensive pass rush. They go wide angles on the end, and they have those linebackers really crash up into the A and B gap. So if the Pittsburgh Steelers were able to figure it out this week, I'm sure most of the teams in the NFL are not far behind them. And it's like you said, this is what the Pittsburgh Steelers paid for with this defense, this most expensive defense. Absolutely. 5 defensive takeaways, 2 strip sacks, 3 picks, and a botched punt return
easily
for a touchdown recovery.
The most impressive defense.
Yeah. And going into next week, the Steelers are going into LA to face the Chargers, who are missing their 2 starting tackles. And so this does spell trouble for the Chargers as well. I'm excited to see that one. I see the Steelers personally coming out on top again. If they can keep up with this defensive pace and go into San Diego with the damaged offensive line, they should be able to feast on Justin Herbert all night long.
Absolutely.
Right,
I see the same thing. TJ Watt, and Alex Highsmith, they're going to get back there with ease.
Exactly.
That 2 injured tackles, it's going to be a tough task for LA.
And the Chargers just gave up 6 sacks to the Tennessee Titans.
That's not good.
That's
not good.
So the Pittsburgh Steelers better be able to get in that backfield. Guys, another game that nobody was expecting to be the game of the week that I personally found to be the game of the week. Bears go up to Cincinnati, and off a game-winning touchdown to Colston Loveland with 17 seconds left, the Bears barely escaped the shootout, 47-42 up in Cincinnati. What do you guys think about that one?
I think it's just enigmatic of all the issues that Cincinnati is facing. I mean, you've seen all of their defensive players in the post game. They were tearing the offense a new one in front of the media. So imagine how that is behind closed doors. If it's that bad in front of the media, behind closed doors, it has to be 10 times worse. So it was a okay win for the Bears. I do think giving up 42 is a little bit tough. I don't like that for them. Their defense should have performed a little bit better than that. But overall, I think Cincinnati, that locker room, it's a meltdown in there. They need to clean it up.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I mean, you got to make that tackle. You should have made that tackle. And now mention, locker room. You look at Jamar Chase. He was mad about. He's like finish the, like, why don't you just finish the game? If it's that staying out in the media, it's probably going to be way worse. So I think Bengals are probably going to be.
And in this particular situation, I don't feel like the Bears necessarily won this game, more the Bengals lost this game.
Exactly.
Because for the last 3 weeks, Uncle Joe, he's been able to put numbers on the board the last 3 weeks in a row. The Bengals are averaging 41 points of offense, but in those same 3 weeks, the Bengals are averaging 33 points per game allowed, which is dead last in the NFL. So if you're going out there and you're having offensive production, it's on the defense at this point to go. Just like I was saying a couple weeks ago with the Steelers, I think this is a problem all throughout the AFC North this year. Is just these high caliber offenses are not being met with the same level of energy by their defenses. But moving on, guys. You know what else happened this past week besides an action-packed slate was the NFL trade deadline.
Yeah.
And that offered some crazy moves as well. So let's start up in New York, where the Jets traded away their best two players on that defense in Sauce Gardner at defensive back and defensive tackle Quinnen Williams. Sauce Gardner just went to the Colts, who are looking to, as their owner, Charlie Irsay Gordon put it, they're not trying to put a Band-Aid over their defensive struggles. They're trying to fix it long term. And they went and did exactly that by picking up Sauce Gardner.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely think there's no better corner out there than Sauce Gardner to go currently get on the trade market that's available. I think he's a top 3 cornerback. I'm just going to list off a couple of stats to you guys, and you tell me if this is a top 3 cornerback. All right, first of all, Sauce Gardner has faced #1 receivers the most out of any corner in the league. When targeted, he's forced the most tight windows in the league. He is first in shadow rate versus top receivers, first in tight coverage percentage, first fewest separation yards, first most snaps per catch allowed, second forced incompletion percentage, second completion percentage allowed, and 8th fewest reception yards allowed. And he's first in about every major category since coming into the league. He's a playmaker.
Yeah,
And for the Colts, I hate to cut you off.
Oh, no,
Ansley,
you're
sorry,
good.
Apologies. For the Colts, I love the move. I love the aggressiveness. I understand 2 firsts for a corner is a start price to pay.
Right.
But when you feel like you can win a Super Bowl, you go make the moves necessary. And if you identify Sauce Gardner, and they obviously identified all the stats that I just listed out, as one of those top 3 corners in the game, and you're a defense that's struggling, you give up those 2 first-rounders if you're serious about winning a Super Bowl. And I love that move for the Colts.
Exactly. I think them trading Sauce Gardner to the Colts is definitely a Colts trying to make a Super Bowl run right now. I mean, obviously, you got a young, not a young quarterback, but a mid-average in Daniel Jones. But obviously, and I think it doesn't help that you watch the Steelers, tear apart that defense, and then you go in and get a corner like Sauce Gardner, who's been tearing up that AFC East for a long time now. And I think especially when you're the top 2 teams like the Patriots and the Buffalo Bills, you're glad to see him gone and not in your division anymore.
Yeah, going down south to the Cowboys, where they picked up another Jets superstar defensive tackle Quinnen Williams. What does this mean for our resident Cowboys fan here, Marcus Miles? What does this mean for the Cowboys pass rushing game?
Let me hear you take, bro.
The pass rush game, it's going to be a massive improvement. Since coming into the league, Quinnen Williams has beaten 57 double teams to generate pressure since 2022, which is the most out of any defensive lineman in the NFL. So when you look at something like that, defensive tackles. Excuse me. So when you look at something like that and you look at this defensive line for Dallas that has been struggling to generate any type of consistent pressure, and then you see it screwing up their back end as well as the back end screwing them over, which is, a different discussion for a different day.
Yeah.
I think Quinnen Williams is the perfect guy. He's a disruptor. You have to game plan around him. You can't try to just run away from him. You're going to have to figure out a way to stop him. He will wreck your entire offensive game plan. And for Dallas, losing Micah, they didn't have anybody of that caliber that teams really had to game plan for. Jadeveon Clowney.
And with these 2 big moves by the Colts, this is what I'm eager to see out of these 2 players that they traded. You're the 2 best players on a losing team's defense.
Yeah.
So I think these moves and what their new respective teams do with them will really go to show how much of superstars they really are. Because being the best player on a losing team in the NFL, it doesn't mean anything. Because if you're such a superstar, why aren't you leading this Jets defense to victories, right? But I think with their new moves and more respectable teams than the Jets, this will really test their superstardom.
Yes.
And I would look out for the Cowboys to make a sort of a second half of the season run. They have 4 starters coming back. Hopefully that defense can finally improve. They're getting Quinnen Williams and DeMarvion Overshown. DeMarvion Overshown will be back for the Raiders game. I think that's going to be a huge pickup. Taking Shamar James and Kenneth Murray, I think Shamar James, he's going to be fine. Kenneth Murray, he's the worst linebacker I've ever watched put on a Cowboys helmet. Taking those two players off of the field will massively improve that defense alone. And then you're adding a Revel. A lot of guys don't know about him right now, but you will know about him. He was a great corner in college. He's just been hurt. If that secondary can get even to subpar, and then that pass rush can get to even top 10, maybe with Quinnen Williams, that's enough to give the offense an opportunity to win games, in my opinion.
Right. I think, we talked about this before. It's been Dallas has definitely been their offense is winning the games, but their defense is letting them down. And I think you've definitely seen that with the loss of Micah Parsons. And their defense has just not been the same. But also you get Quinnen Williams, you get Logan Wilson too. Hopefully they can start something for this Cowboys defense, and that could affect the offense as well, knowing that, we can get stops now and not worry about scoring on every single play.
And jumping back over to the Colts defense and what Sauce Gardner is about to do, I'm excited to watch their matchup in this upcoming week where they're going to be hosting the Falcons in Indianapolis. And even though the Falcons just lost 24-23, only 1 point, they just lost to the Patriots, I still feel like Michael Penix went out there and, for a young quarterback, he had a great game. Over 200 yards. He threw 3 touchdowns only to one receiver, all to Drake London. And so this will be a great test. This will be a great test for Michael Penix to go out, like you said, against the top 3 corner in the league on a new team looking to make a splash. Will the Falcons be able to put that chip on their shoulder and bounce back from the loss? I personally don't think so, because the Colts are looking to do the same thing. And I think I got the Colts taking that one against the Falcons for sure.
I do too, yeah.
And guys, before we end on the show, I hate to kill the vibe a little bit, but I absolutely have to mention the Cowboys' Marshawn Kneeland, who tragically passed away earlier this week.
Tough news to hear.
He died at the age of 24 after some struggles with some mental health issues. And we here at the Rebel Sports Network, we extend our thoughts and prayers to his family, and we just want to express just how much of importance it is to take care of your mental health. But with that, guys, I want to thank y'all again so much for joining me on the show today. My name is Gabe Goddard. This was Marcus Miles and Ansley Pavicic.
Ask for help if you need it.
Yeah.
Yes. Ask for help.
And if you need help, talk to someone too.
Ask for help, always.
You are not alone. We will see you next week with another episode of Clean Slate here on the Rebel Sports Net.